Hi everybody, Adam here. Welcome back to our Lego room. In today's video, we're going to be taking a quick tour around the under table layout, giving you guys a look at the progress that we are making here. And, pretty happy with how that progress is coming along. We've got an ever-growing amount of continuous track. You can actually traverse from the edge of the corner over here all the way around to the lift out bridge on that side of the layout over there. And if the bridge is actually in place, you can carry on most of the way towards the T-junction over there. Really happy with that progress. And even, on top of the track progress there, we're getting more and more base plates in place around the lower level here, which is really nice to see. It's moving base plates out of, sort of storage places around the layout and getting them actually into their final spot around the layout here. It's good all around, making it a lot easier to move around the outside of the layout here, but also really helping to visualize the gaps and some of the changes that we need to make as we bring all of the track together for the lower layout here. I'm going to shift a little bit so you guys can see a different angle on this, and we'll talk a bit more about what we're working on and what's coming up next for the track down here. Now we are a little farther down the backside of the Lego City on the tabletop layout, and you can see from here the Tricks Bricks Monster crossovers. This is the biggest section that I have not started yet in terms of putting onto Mills modules. We will get these moving shortly. This is one of the areas, though, where we are waiting on some Bricklink orders to get in more of the 16 by 32 base plates. Those are basically half base plates, and we need them. Basically, these monster crossovers are going to get split in half, and it'll be roughly 2.5. Yeah, I think it's 2.5 Mills modules on each side of the monster crossover. I like to allow for a split down the middle of the crossover, and that makes it easier for when I'm breaking this down and taking it out to a train show. It's just a lot easier if I can split that, ginormous piece of track into two separate chunks or modules. And so, like I said, it ends up being roughly 2.5 Mills modules on each side. So 5 total going sort of down the length of the crossover there. So we're waiting on those half base plates to use not only for the Mills modules here, but we are uncovering as we go a few spots around the layout where we need those half base plates converted into Mills modules just to fill out the geometry or the space that we have. You can see in the sort of straightaway section of the end of the layout there, we've got a couple of spots that will need to be filled by the half base plate Mills modules. I love the half base plate Mills modules. They're super useful for just little bits of track or extending out modules that we have that we're building. But, it's not a super common base plate and something that I just sort of pick up periodically as we need them. But we're going to need likely quite a few. I've already seen here we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, probably at least 12, because we've got 2 over there, 2 over there, and then it's 2, 4, 6, 8 here. So yeah, at least 12. I know there's going to be some in other parts of the lower layout as well. So we'll probably try to pick up a nice big sort of stack of them to work from initially. But, that's one of the things that as we go through and we are sort of laying out the base plates and sort of putting things together really gives us a good perspective on what additional parts we need to get ordered in. Now, as I said, you can see there we've got the continuous track from that corner all the way through to the bridge area there, and then beyond into almost the T-junction down there. Really happy with how that's coming together. And if we turn even a little bit more here, you can see just how much space is getting filled in with base plates. Really nice to see. And, it's funny, the more we sort of fill this in, mills modules always go super quickly when you put them together. There's always things that need mills around the layout and that we're building for various projects. And, our stack of mills modules is getting smaller and smaller in a rather quick fashion. But I think it's going to be all really worth it once we get this up and running down here. Now, I do want to call out, we got our nice big orders of 4x8 plates in. We've actually already used roughly 500 of the green 4x8 plates to get a number of additional mills modules up and running, but we've got the full 1,000 here still of the 4x8 medium tan. Really excited to put these to use. It's going to help us get I'd say most of the remaining mills modules up and running. We're also going to be ordering a few more 2x4 bricks, and we'll probably get some more 2x2s in as well, just so that we can not only get all of the existing mills modules up and running, but start to set ourselves up for the next wave that will inevitably come after these ones are all finished off and integrated wherever they need to go in the layout. And for perspective as well, if you've seen any of our recent videos, you know that the stacks of mills modules here were much higher than they are currently. We've got a whole bunch more that'll get finished off with these plates here. So not too worried. We've got a number that'll be added to this that will be going into the layout, but just a good sort of perspective and way to visualize all of the mills modules that are getting used up for getting the lower level layout to where we want it to be. Now, shifting around to the other side of the layout gives you a bit of a different perspective, and you can see just how much progress we've made over here with getting the tracks to be continuously set up around this end of the layout. One thing that I wanted to figure out as we started to put all these mills modules in place was whether there were any modifications we needed to make to the table support structure. And there's definitely a few spots that I'm going to want to modify in the coming days. You can see all the different legs that are supporting each of the corners of the tables that we have down here. Obviously, those legs are super important to keeping the tabletop layout where it is and keeping things from falling down. Gives enough strength that when needed, I can get up on top of the tables to, work on stuff up above for the ceiling level layout, or just if there's any other sort of projects or things that we're working on that need us to be up on top of the table. Plus, it just supports, the large amounts, the sort of ever-growing amounts of Lego that we have in use for our tabletop layout. But, some of these legs do make it a little awkward for fitting in, sort of the right number of modules across and for allowing us to line up some of the curves, corners, various track pieces where we want them to be. Some good examples here. You can see a few spots where we have the Mills modules kind of roughed in where they can't lie flat currently. And, for some of those spots, there's a few spots back around the back legs over there, a few spots around these legs here, where I'm going to look at basically kind of notching out some sections so that we can have the Mills modules lie flat and correctly, and make sure that we can open up, or I guess build the proper set of Mills modules around the entirety of this lower level layout. Don't think we have to make wild changes, but there's definitely a few spots where we want a little extra room to play with. So those ones there are a good example. You can see over here some potential where we might open it up a little bit more just to fit, some half base plate Mills modules down this side right here. But, minor things that I think we can get working as we open up more and more space around the tables down here. And as we really start to uncover the various sort of shortcomings with the current support structure as we're filling in all of this track around the lower layout. Now, flipping around, we are basically at the lift out bridge point over here. You can see what I mentioned about the track carrying on from here and almost reaching the T-junctions. Really happy that we're getting so close there. We do need to move the T-junction around a little bit to get the track to line up the way we want over there. Should be all doable. There's going to be, this is another case of, where we're going to probably do some modification of some of the table support structures just to make sure that, we can push the T-junction modules back as far as we want to against the table legs over there. And there's definitely, as you'll see in a few moments, around the Winter Village part of the layout, there's some modifications we'd like to make there just to get everything to sort of fit and line up exactly the way that we want. But, like I said, making some good progress over here. Really nice to see all of the base plates getting laid out to make sure that we've got the right number of modules to account for all the different track areas and other buildings that'll be located around the layout down here. Another vantage point from inside the layout here. Awesome to be able to have the two T-junctions side by side like that. And then you can kind of start to see, but you'll see better in a moment when we get over right beside the Winter Village, what I was meaning about the modules being a little off and needing to be shifted. But really, really happy with how the layout is looking and how these different modules are starting to plug in together with each other. Really going to open up a lot of interesting options for us with track, and will also be cool from the perspective of having more modules that we can take out to train shows as well that we display at. But super happy here. You can see, very quickly we're going to start to have almost a complete loop on the main line track here. And hopefully that Winter Village track will come online shortly after. But really awesome to see these Trix Bricks T-junctions here. A great couple of anchor points for this end of the layout. Now, something else worth noting, we've got a lot of straight track that is coming together here to be mounted onto Mills modules for use in the lower level layout here. But some of this is likely to get packed into bins as well for taking out to shows. Really big fan of being able to sort of pre-pack as much as possible. I really want to get a nice set of modules that we can pull from, not only within our layouts here in the Lego room, but also from some of our backup or show only build areas. I think it'll be really cool to, in general, step up our game a little bit with how much extra track we have, how many extra Mills modules are ready for use, both, here in the Lego room, but also out at, shows as well when we are displaying. Now, flipping around so that you can see the other end of the layout from within the layout here. Again, a nice vantage point of the track progress we are making. Really cool to see that. And, can't wait to get these monster crossovers integrated as well. I think that we've got a lot of really awesome eye-catching modules, and these two modules here are going to be really large in their own right, and I think should be a lot of fun and give us a lot of opportunities for running trains in interesting ways down here on the lower level layout. Not a ton of progress to show over on the Winter Village side of the lower layout here, but just want to call out, like I said, we're going to be doing a few things to try to stretch out and make sure the modules here feed into the mainline track the way that we want to. And I want to make sure that everything's properly supported around the edges of the lower level layout here. Obviously, we've got a number of storage containers over there, things that we've been sorting out, things that need to get a permanent home in the Acro Mills wall. So one of the things, as we're kind of cutting some of the legs, making sure everything's still super stable here, but that we've got a little more room to play with, especially on the ends here. So these 2x4s that come into the layout, similar one over on that side, those are pretty obstructive. So really looking for ways to cut that out and still keep everything operating the way that we want, being as reliable as possible. Still some track in the middle over here to clean up. We'll be moving that stuff off for the time being so that we can start to get some snow modules in the middle here, some awesome Winter Village buildings. Really looking forward to getting this sort of fully up and running here. But, again, we're making pretty good progress, pretty happy with things, but definitely a few bumps to get over here. And, I think it'll be all worth it in the end when everything is connected together and we can start running trains around the layout in some interesting ways down here. And just looking back towards the T-junctions there, the modules we've been starting to fill in. Just gives you, I think, a good perspective on where everything's at and some of the improvements we've been making and some of the next steps for this particular chunk of work. It is worth noting there's been a number of other projects I've been working on around the Lego room as well. So there'll be lots to report on in the next few days. Lots of cool stuff to show you guys and go through. But if you have not subscribed to the channel, please make sure to do so that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. And thank you very much for watching. We will see you again soon. Take care. Bye.